Hello friends, welcome to another episode of I Play Games and Film It, and welcome to Free Thought Fridays, even though it's posting on a Saturday. I do apologise for that, sorry. I wanted to do something a little different this week, because it seemed to be a running theme, and I don't know whether it's got something to do with the weather, which could actually be possible, I'll explain that in a second, or if it's just coincidence or something. But the depression seems to have come up a lot this week, and it's all coincidental as well. It seems to be documented on television, people are talking about it on Facebook, there's like episodes I've actually watched on YouTube of other shows, and they've actually started talking about depression as well. It's really strange. So it seems to be a running theme, and I mean I'll be very delicate about this, because I don't necessarily think that it's fair for me to diagnose myself with with anything, but it seems to be common, certainly this time of year, where I genuinely tend to struggle a little bit more with just kind of pushing through regular activities, and I don't want to say like, yeah, it's because I get depressed or anything like that, because it is a very serious affliction that can take hold of anyone, certainly at any time, because of any reason. But I've looked it up, and there's this thing called this seasonal affective disorder, where apparently you can actually have all the symptoms of being depressed, but it's relevant to or related to the time of year and the change in the weather and so on and so forth. So it's likely that people can just start to feel more glum during seasons, possibly during winter as well, because it gets darker. It's darker more of the time. It's colder. It's not as pleasant, I suppose. So that happens. Now, putting all that aside, certainly in my respect, it did get me thinking. It's funny because every time I did think about how I felt or how I feel when it's happening and so on, I always end up looking to this part of Max Payne. I don't know why. I think there's a gamer in me somewhere that always ends up looking at this level particularly. I think it's like voted the worst levels in games and stuff like that. But based on the story of Max Payne, I've always thought that the game designers completely, absolutely intended it to be this awful, intended it to be this frustrating, because this, I think, is their maybe interpretation, or I'd like to think that this is actually a game designer's or game developer's intention, or what's the word now? Impression on what depression is like. So I'll come forward to the actual part here and show you what I'm talking about. Now, for those of you who played Max Payne, you'll know straight away what I'm gonna be showing you. For those who haven't, essentially this is one of the nightmare levels. So you're in a black room, as you can see. I can see nothing around me whatsoever, except for this red line here, and it's very easy to fall off. And when you fall off, you kind of have to start again from the top. There we go. The part that made this level so difficult, and again, one of the reasons I think it links to depression, is the fact that the symptoms of depression are quite long, to be honest. There's loss of sleep, loss of appetite, loss of sex drive, loss of concentration, feelings of huge lacking feelings of self-worth. So you think and feel you're absolutely useless. You feel like you're no good to anyone. You tend not to be able to function normally. So suddenly, easy tasks, maybe like, I don't know, making a coffee in the morning, might suddenly become a lot harder because, well, you're not concentrating, for one. On top of that, there's a lot of thoughts about death, self-harm, and generally kind of not wanting. Almost like you deserve to be punished, I suppose, is a good way of putting it as well. Like feelings that you just don't deserve anything you have, and that you don't feel like you're worth anything. So you are worthless. And these are all the feelings that you get. Now, what this level drives towards is a very interesting sensation as a gamer, because you can do this level. This level goes on and on and on and on and on, and only because you continue to die, and it can actually get to you. I remember that when I first played this, it used to drive me insane, because you're essentially stuck in this maze of red lines. You don't even know where they're going, so you're kind of lost in that way. You just find yourself just following lines and hoping that they get you out, but essentially you become stuck here that the end of that? Yeah. So essentially you do become stuck in this world. Not only that, everything operates slower. So you've gone from moving at full speed to kind of everything's slowing down, becoming sluggish and strange and new. So there, you feel lost as well in this level. Obviously on top of that, I mean, it's dark, it's a pitch black room, you're not really sure what's going on outside the world you're in right now. All you know is that you want to get out of it. You just don't know how, and I think that's like a kind of a pinpoint, and that's the part to me that really brings it home, is the fact that you're lost in this dark world. It's not a very happy place either, and you've got places that you want to get to. You want to be out of it, but you don't know how, and it's not as easy as just get out of it. You know, just find your way out. It is a simple case of you've just got to go through the motions. You just kind of deal with it, and in a really like ultimately depressing way of putting it, the only other way of getting out of this is by turning it off. Excuse me, and you translate that accordingly. It's not very nice, but this kind of spoke to me in that way, and it's also, I mean, everything else is kind of linked to. I mean, the sound of the baby crying, which literally doesn't end. It's constant all the time, and certainly when you fall, the sound that Max makes eventually just starts to get to you as well, because you're just like, oh my god, I just want him to stop suffering. For the love of Christ, I want to stop suffering. I want to get out of this level now. I really want to be done with all this. Oh, that was good. And I mean, I'm still a little lost. I do want to get to the end. But you can see even now from going from things like when I was, well, you won't have seen, but when I was running through the hallways before, when I was running through the game before, everything was confident. It was sure. It was, yes, I'm going to move forward and I'm not going to stop, or yes, I'm going to shoot this guy and it's not going to be a problem. Now, suddenly I'm edging everywhere and I'm not really able to function within the game properly because everything's changed, everything's different. I don't really know how to deal with it, but nonetheless, I'm kind of forced to again because there's no really easy way out of it. And I keep saying it because it does all link to me to depression. It does link to that based on the symptoms. And again, not saying that I'm diagnosing myself, but perhaps certainly in ways that that depression looks like, it feels like, according to the symptoms and what I've looked up. It certainly seems quite familiar within this game. And eventually, you start to feel angry when you're playing it. You start to feel frustrated. You start to feel like, well, all I want to do is get to the other side of this level. All I want to do is get through this. But it seems to be such a bloody difficult thing to do. I can't seem to be able to finish this level. Why can't I seem to be able to finish this level? Why can't I walk in a straight line? Why can't I do that? And then you see, then you go into start questioning, like, well, surely I'm better at video games than this. This is ridiculous. I was doing fine a second ago, and now I seem to be able to not be able to progress. What's going on? It kind of, I guess, in a way, when you're playing the level, you kind of start to feel the little symptoms yourself. But no, that's essentially how I've seen it in my head. I mean, anyone else could draw any other similarities in what I'm doing right now to depression, and they might find that it certainly rings very true. But the most important thing, I think, about talking about depression is the fact that we must be careful, because it is very real. I know that much. It's very, very real. And I know that there are people who do say, depression is... people claim, to be depressed when actually, they're just having a bad day, or they're having a bad couple of days. And this is the issue I have, because for me it can be spats of, a couple of days here, a couple of days there within a space of time. But I don't want to claim it, because it's kind of like, well, is that fair? Because when people really go through depression, it's almost like they can be admitted to hospital. They can't work. They actually cannot go to work because they can't function. They can't just get out of bed and do things because of how low they feel, how awful they feel. I can do these things, and so it's not that bad for me. And I kind of think to myself, well, that's not fair, because you can work and you can do certain things. It's not the end of the world for you, Dan. And I think when people make false claims about it and they start to kind of soften the symptoms, almost like, I've been feeling depressed today, but I'll be fine tomorrow, that's where, unfortunately, we lose the value or the true meaning of what having depression actually is. Because it's not... I don't want to say that it's something that's so light and so, so short-lived. I mean, for some people it's a matter of years, certainly a matter of months. You could go for a long time just feeling crap, and crap being a massive understatement of how it really feels, I'm sure. And I think it's important not to allow that to happen, because essentially, depression leads to things like awful things like suicide, like hurting yourself, like generally not wanting to feel deserved of anything, and not wanting to feel any worth from anyone. And that's a horrible thought, that someone could even regularly feel like that. So I'd say to everyone out there, we must be aware of it, we must be careful of it. Certainly don't take things lightly. I mean, I remember one of my friends came to me a while ago and said that on a daily basis, over a long period of time, he did drink a lot as well, which didn't help. But over a long period of time, on a regular basis, he said he actually spent his days wanting to kill himself. And he was just a regular guy doing not a high pressure job, just quite a high paid job. And he seemed to enjoy it for the most part, but perhaps maybe not that much. I wanted to help him, I wanted to do something about it, but he kind of brushed it on the carpet. He was like, oh no, it's nothing, don't worry about it, it's fine, I'll get over it. But that's one of those things where you kind of have to alarm bells should really go, and people should really pay attention. I wanted to, I didn't really get a chance to, but that's one of those scenarios I see where I'm just like, yeah, we can't really ignore that kind of stuff, because when you actually think about those kind of things, that's the kind of thing that can spiral, that can manifest in you dangerously, and then eventually it leads to action being taken, and that's not something you want, really. There we go. Really got to be careful. I mean, I'm gonna stop blabbing. I'm gonna round it up now, because we could get into some strange spaces. I can end up just rambling, really. But ultimately, yeah, I only because it felt weird that I felt a couple of days of weirdness last week, and then there was just incidences where I saw it just popping up everywhere, and I was like, what's going on? This is actually a time of year then, because it's just become winter for us. So have we really reached that time of year now where this is happening? Is the seasonal affective disorder in place? And so on and so forth. There was a discussion I had, a very short one, with a friend, and it was basically, I kind of did say, people can claim depression quite easily. I mean, I could claim depression right now, but that's more because I'm tired, and I didn't sleep very well. But that's nothing to do with depression. But it's one of those situations where I could claim it. But also the complications of it is the fact that you can't. How would I put it now? Oh yeah, you can't necessarily pinpoint it in individuals. It wouldn't be the same symptoms across everyone. So the way I experience depression and the way I certainly would communicate it would be different from someone else. I think it's just important for everyone to ensure that we all understand the unified constructs of depression, just as a whole affliction, and then we can kind of pinpoint how it's affected certain people in certain ways. And that might be of help. I don't think anyone could run any treatment programs, because there's not really much you could do. And I tell you what, being told to get over it is the least helpful and effective way of anyone getting through depression, because that shows the largest amount of the largest lack, or the hugest lack of understanding of what depression really is. Because if obviously no one wants to go through it, and if it was easy as snapping out of it, they would have done. So it doesn't really help. So yeah, that's this week Free Thought Friday. Give us a thought, guys, and certainly while I've been playing this, I'm hoping you've kind of got a better understanding of perhaps how it's communicated and how it's put forward. And yeah, I mean, by all means, be careful, because no one knows necessarily how we can contract these afflictions. And yeah, just be nice to each other, take care of each other, be there for each other, so on and so forth. But do have a wonderful weekend. I know we've already got kind of halfway through it, which kind of sucks, but next week I'll be on the ball, definitely. But guys, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, comment, click the thumb button, share with a friend if you like, and I will see you in another episode of I Play Games and Film It. Until then, have a wonderful day, and a wonderful weekend, a wonderful month, and Merry Christmas. Is it too soon? It's too soon. I shouldn't have done that. Sorry, I retract the Merry Christmas. If I could say it backwards. see. I'm not going to try and say it backwards. Forget it. I retracted though, officially. But yeah, take care, guys. Thanks very much. Bye bye.